2021. Yeah, we made it through 2020. I think we should all have big medals that say that we're big warriors, right? So I hope 2021's been good to you so far. I know the chaos and the confusion is continuing, and we'll talk about that tonight on the Soul Space. I can't wait to be back in the studio. Every week I come on and I say, I think it's next week, I think it's next week. But I was talking to Sally and Tony, and they're putting the finishing touches on our new studio, so I should be back in the studio really soon. And hopefully we will be able to do our broadcast from there and have my call-in show and my guests and everybody. But in the meantime, I'm still on home base, but that's not such a bad thing. It's actually a really nice place to be. So tonight we're going to talk about the astrology of January 2021 and see where that's going and what's leading up to some really fabulous energy. And we're also going to talk about a little bit about what's going on in the global community, in our country, and things like that based on the astrology. Because as you all know, I believe whatever is going on in the sky is going on right here. As above, so below. So I hope you'll stay tuned and spend the next about 45, 55 minutes with me. And if we have time in the end, we'll do some really cool card pulls. All right? So although I'm still home in my studio, and I have my really pretty twinkly tree here, and my little banner for my Zenkuda, I still have to do some housekeeping because I don't have my engineers and I don't have Sally and Tony. So if you just got to bear with me while I share the show so I can see your comments and talk to you tonight and answer any questions you might have about the astrology or whatever it is that we got going on. So I hope you're all adjusting to some new energy that's been coming in. I know many of you have been talking about the energy shifts that you're feeling that are coming in just even since the holidays. And although we still have a little bit of chaos and some stuff going on in the world, I think we can truthfully say that the energy is a little bit different in our own personal lives. Some of that's because of 2020, because the gift that still keeps on giving. So here I am. I see the show. This is wonderful. Love it when everything's working. I had a couple of computer glitches this morning and some other things that I was doing online, but I think we made it through. So let's see who's out here tonight. I know we got some peeps on. And who have I got watching me? Oh, hi David, how are you? We got David, there's a delay, so this show will circulate in a few minutes. I have David, I have Janine, hey babe. Marianne, I missed you guys. Sarah, I missed everybody. I wasn't on for 2 weeks because we had Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve were both on a Thursday. And they asked me on New Year's Eve, do you want to do your show? It's up to you. And I said, you know what? I'm going to take another break because I felt like I just needed a little bit of reserve energy. So it was really good. So if any of you want to share the show, please do. I'm going to just spend a moment sharing it so that we can get some people in our discussion tonight. And hopefully we will have a few visitors. I have been actually doing some research to see if I have to stay in the studio, which doesn't look like I will as far as staying in the home studio, getting guests on and things. So hopefully if our COVID doesn't last too long. Just let me check that I'm sharing the show right. I promise not to do my do, which I usually do when I'm sharing the show. So I'd love to hear about your New Year's and what's going on with all of you and how you guys have been feeling this energy. So definitely write your comments below and I will answer all comments, I promise. Sorry, guys. Okay. Here I am. All right, here we go. Sorry, I know it's boring for you guys when I do this. You can talk among yourselves if you'd really like. Okay, sorry. Have to do my housekeeping, have to do my homework. So what's going on in the world? What's going on with the stars and the sky? So obviously something big happened yesterday, January 6th. The U.S. Senate was stormed by some, I don't know, unrest, revolution, whatever choice word you'd like to do. And it's funny because that was kind of expected, not the actual incident, but something as far as chaos or turmoil or unrest was really kind of expected by many of us who study the astrology and study what's going on in the world. And the reason for that is because we have a lot of squares coming in with Mars and Saturn and some other things going on. Uranus is a big player this month for us. So I'm going to go back to the beginning where it all started, which was last January. We had this huge conjunction of Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto in Capricorn. And that started all this race riot, the turmoil politically, and the COVID. And it was a very volatile energy, which I talk about a lot on my podcast. I think every single week we were talking about that Capricorn cluster. And now that Jupiter and Saturn have moved out of that cluster and gone into Aquarius, which brings us fresh energy. It brings us more futuristic energy. You're going to see a lot more technology being discovered and innovation happening. And it's really great energy for us. But at the same time, it also positions those two planets to be in square with some of the planets that we have in, say, Taurus, where Uranus is. So Uranus is the great awakener. I've talked about that a lot on the program when we do our astrology. And when it starts to talk to Saturn, it really has a very tense conversation because Saturn is the old, Saturn is the authority. Saturn is our structures, our government, the things that hold things in place. And Uranus is a planet that wants to awaken us, wants to bring new energy, wants to shake things up, shock us. It's known as lightning. It's known as the Great Awakener. So it's really the old versus new. And we're seeing that really play out in a lot of our political statements that are happening now. We're seeing it play out in the innovation and the evolution of a lot of structures and institutions in our lives, even the way money is, right? We have cryptocurrency coming in. That's a very Aquarian, Uranus type of energy. What does this mean when we drill it down into our lives? Well, basically what it means is 2021 was a year that really was in turmoil for a lot of us. It was frustrating. It brought up and churned up a lot of things, like a lake or an ocean or a tide churning up the sand and the dirt and the dust from the bottom of the ocean or the lake bed. 2021 did that for us. It made us start to see things and look at things that we really didn't want to look at. We had a lot of time on our hands. We were kind of sent home to sit in solitude. And so now we have all this water. We have all this stuff. We have all this junk that was churned up in 2020. And it's more or less like, well, what do we do with it? We've dammed it up for so many years. We did things we didn't want to look at, things that were suppressed. And now 2020's kind of moved them around a little bit, caused a little friction, a little turbulence. And we're left with all this stuff and we don't know what to do with it. And 2021 is about what we do with what we place behind that dam. We've shored up our lives. We've dammed things up. We've repressed. We didn't want to look at things. 2021 brought them all up out in the open. Pluto came in and kind of dragged everything up. And so now we have to think about what is behind that dam. What is it? Are we building something that's stagnating? Is there still things that are stagnating in that dam, in that lake bed, in that river, in that ocean, or is it something we're building anew with what was churned up from the bottom? And that sums up what 2021 is going to be about for us. And the reason that energy is coming in from the cosmos point of view is because Mars and Saturn. Mars is our go energy, it's our driver, it drives the car. It was in Aries, which is our like fire, warrior energy, for over 6 months, which is a very, very, very unusual thing. Usually Mars stays in a sign about 6 weeks to 2 months, even if it's retrograding. But this year we had this planet just stuck there with the retrogrades, etc. And each time it moved even slightly, it hit one of those planets in Capricorn in a conversation of tension. Remember, Capricorn is that authoritative energy, the institutions, the structure. So then you have Mars coming around and around, touching that energy, which is our go, our gas pedal. So it's change. It's out with the old, in with the new. Mars wants to run that racetrack. It wants to water ski. It wants to like run the race. And here we have staunch energy in Capricorn, the Pluto planet, the Saturn, the Jupiter, saying, oh, no, don't you do anything. We want it to be here. And so we have all of this energy that's been battling. And now that Jupiter and Saturn moves into Aquarius, and they're not in that Capricorn authoritative energy, they're working a little better with Mars. But we're not in the home, we're in the home stretch, but we're not home yet, because we have some squares and things coming in, and it's going to make the energy a little volatile. So in your chart, I would look to see where Aquarius is, what house it rules, where is that beautiful air sign that's going to bring in fresh energy, because that's where Jupiter and Saturn are hovering right now, and they will be for a little while. And so as they play through Aquarius energy, you want to know how that's going to affect your life. And basically what it's going to do is ask you to move what is behind that dam. Move what you've been repressing and what you really haven't wanted to work with for most of your life. It's going to ask you to either move that to build something, or you can keep it where it is and stagnate. So this year is a year of a lot of preparation. It's a lot of planning, especially the first half of the year. If you've had projects or a move or some kind of movement that you've wanted to do in your life, whether that's in a relationship or a job or a physical move of your home or a renovation, or you want to take up something new and study something new, whatever your next vibe is, this is a time when you should be getting all of your ducks in a row and keep sweeping away and letting that water come over the dam slowly, slowly, not like a big whoosh like we had yesterday at the state capitol, but slowly. Allow the things that are being brought up, that debris from the lake bed bottom, that tide that the ocean is, bringing out, allow that to slowly dissipate. Work with it, understand it, unpack it, in order to give you a clean area to build something new. That's what this energy is about. And that's why we had the unrest yesterday, because we have a very large contingent of people who want to keep the status quo. They want to stagnate what's behind that dam. No, don't change anything. We're scared. We can't have anything changed. And then you have people who are thinking about the new and the fresh, and they want to change something. But Mars in the last degrees of Aries is very, very critical, because use that energy the wrong way and it makes you want to change things quickly, violently, dramatically. So you want to just let that water come over the dam, like valves, open your valve and close your valve and let it flow. Otherwise you're going to have that whoosh like we're seeing out in the collective, and that whoosh comes from fear. So yesterday I put on a post, and it was about a little paragraph I wrote about how you can never gain insight when you're looking outwards. You can only gain insight looking within. And I think that's really playing out now in a lot of our lives, and we see it playing out obviously in public. And what that really means, if we dissect it, is no great idea was ever formed in the heat of battle. If you look back in history, or you even look back in your own life, those aha moments, those wonderful, innovative moments when you were connected to something creative, happen when you're at peace. They happen when you're relaxing. They happen in yoga. I heard someone on a podcast that I was on yesterday watching say the strongest pose in yoga is Savasana. And Savasana, for those of you who don't do yoga, is the end of a session when you're laying in meditation and you allow yourself and your mind to drift into a message or into a state of being that is content and joyful. And it's almost like achieving samadhi. So when we're in savasana, it is a very relaxing time because now we've worked the body through, we've done our practice, and now we are in communion with ourselves and the higher power, spirit, whatever you believe. And that's very powerful. It's much more powerful than being at war and trying to win an argument. Our most powerful selves are found within. Our most powerful self isn't when we raise our hand. Our most powerful self is when we're opening our palm and wanting to share ourselves with each other. And in that connection, we become more powerful. So I think that this year is a year of authentic engagement, authentic connection. And what I would love to see all of us do in the Zenkuda community is work on, and I'm going to be doing this, work on those that authentic engagements and looking inward and really seeing what's valuable to each of us in order to make those connections deeper and bring more love into our life any way we can, right? Whether that is with partnerships in business or family or our friends or whoever. And the astrology is really helping us do that. With Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius close together, and they will be mostly doing a little dance together for this next year, Saturn for longer, but Jupiter will be there for about a year. They're really giving us a little bit of benevolence. They're giving us a little bit of optimism in order to really do this work that we're talking about and develop our connections better. This is about being an individual. It's about finding your individuality in that way and then bringing what you've learned to the collective. Like I always say, once you reach it, teach it, right? So you want to share that. You want to have that beautiful connection with people. So if I had to really sum up the astrology, especially for January, because January is a tipping point. January is the energy that sets our whole year. And that's not even because of the calendar chronology. It's because of where the cosmos are right now. It's really setting up a lot of energy. So using that analogy of that dam, we've put things behind the dam, right? And there are things that we need to let flow. We need to let them flow now. So one of the reasons why you don't want to just open the dam and let it all out, you want to really work with it and unpack it and allow it to flow through you in alignment, is because Mars is the planet of war, right? It's the energy of warrior. And war can go either way. You can be a warrior that is peaceful and constructive and assertive, or you can be an aggressive warrior who just, rampages through the battlefield. Either way, you're expending an energy. And our choice lies in which energy we want to expend. And the way the cosmos are supporting the energy right now is for us to be more of the peaceful warrior. The cosmos, the planets, the stars are all aligning to support us in realizing that we have to keep our eye on the distant goal, not on, who won the ball game yesterday. It's about the World Series. Not on who breached the Capitol and got in to sit in someone's seat. It's about what's the long game, what's the long picture, like where are we really going with all of this? Is this energy that's going to help our society and help mankind? And then drilling that down to our own lives. Are the conversations that I'm having today aggressive and harmful? Or am I allowing these things to flow through me without destruction, with more assertion, without the aggression, in order to be in alignment with what my true end game is? And I think for most of us that end game is love, abundance, kindness, connection, something that we've really lost a lot of this past year. 2020 was a year where connection kind of got taken out of our reality, and we're missing that. And the way to get it back is letting this energy come that the cosmos are really supporting for us. So don't think about winning the battle, think about winning the war. And I use that symbolically, not to go to war, especially with everything that's going on in this country, but to understand that we all have goals and agendas, and this is the time of year when we think about them a lot. And so the way we want to accomplish them isn't by coming in and being like that bull in the china shop that just comes in and rampages and I'm going to do this. No, it's by really preparing and methodically making your game and choosing your battles, choosing your your life, choosing your free will, choosing your choices. And that's something that we ask ourselves, is the restraint I'm doing, is, using a little bit of restraint here, is that valid? And I think that's something that I've had to learn, because I'm a very strong personality, much stronger than I used to be, much stronger than I am now. I've mellowed out a lot. But, when I was typical workaholic in the rat race, total type A personality, I used to come in and take prisoners. I was like, boom, I was a beast. So, and thus the word Zen Kuda, because now I'm that way about my Zen. And so, and all of us in the Zen Kuda community, hopefully, are that determined about our Zen and our spirituality, and living our life thriving above the five senses, right? But I learned restraint. I learned to allow other people to speak. I learned to choose my words very carefully, because you will be judged by what you say and don't say. And I think that sometimes a little restraint is in order, and that is what the cosmos want us to do right now. The planets do not want us to come in and just be on a rampage and say whatever we want, do whatever we want, and think we deserve to do that and we're entitled to it. That is absolutely the wrong energy to go. And I will tell you that anything that is in that energy, and which is not heart-based, will eventually dissolve and destroy. It will not sustain. So if you're building your foundation of your life on those things, fasten your seatbelt, because it's not going to last long. If you're building your life on the foundation of love, of restraint, of kindness, of spiritual etiquette, of authenticity, what you really want to see your life be, that's your agenda, that's your mission statement for your life. And that's really what this January astrology and the January energy really is about. It's setting the tone. It's putting the pin in the map of where you want to go for 2021. So a couple of things that'll be frustrating. The way this energy expresses, especially with Saturn and Mars, which we have coming in the next few days, is Saturn says no and Mars says yes. Mars is go, Saturn's break. So remember we were talking about that restraint? That's Saturn. Saturn teaches us restraint, sometimes harshly, because it wants us to be tempered. It wants us to be balanced. It wants us to understand the lesson. So look in the chart where that Aquarian energy is in your life, because right now that's where Saturn is holding its lessons. And look in relation to where your Saturn lies in your natal chart, and think about how those two energies are working together now to teach you something really major about your life. So this is about old versus new. It's also about slow versus fast. It's about tradition versus innovation. I'm just looking down at my notes. It'll also be judgment. Aquarian can be a very judgmental energy in its lower octave. So, and Aquarius is also an energy of technology. So we have the two major planets, Saturn and Jupiter, going into that energy. We are going to see a lot of technology, innovation come, but we're also going to see a lot of judgment about technology, and that leads to social media. Aquarius does rule social media, so be very careful what you post, especially we have a Mercury retrograde coming in the end of the month, and you want to be really careful about what you put out there, all right? So you want to use Saturn in the sense of time. And what Saturn does is it sometimes judges what's new and young, and is a little bit more, it likes old tradition. So if you can, as you're making your plan, as you're making your agenda, as you're making your goals for 2021, use a little bit of tradition in the foundation of those, and Saturn will be very kind about that. Right now, it's like everybody is a little bit hot to trot, I want to say, in the sense of a little bit too quick to answer sometimes, a little bit too quick to form an opinion, a little bit too quick to judge. I feel like social media especially is just exploding with people just, they don't even care what they say. Do not buy into that. It will go badly, especially with the Mercury retrogrades at the end of this month. All right. Also, we have Neptune in the mix and communication. Really watch your words for the next couple of weeks, because it's one of these energies where you can say things and regret them, and we don't want that to happen. So another thing about Uranus being in Taurus, which I wanted to talk about because we have these Saturn-Uranus squares, and that's going to set the tone for our whole year. There's 3 of them. There's one that I believe comes up on the 17th, I want to say, because right before the inauguration, and it's not too good. Okay, so there's 3 Saturn-Uranus squares. I'm sorry, it's February 14th, June 14th, and December 23rd, 2021. Those are major, major happenings in the zodiac. They're going to bring a lot of tension, a lot of that kind of stuff. And you're going to see that because Uranus is an instantaneous reaction. And so when that happens, you're going to know it. So just be prepared because it's around Valentine's Day. But before that, on the 17th, we have, hold on to that. On the 17th of January, we have a Uranus squaring Pluto, I believe. Let me just look at my notes. Okay, I'm going to check the comments too because I'm talking a very long time and I want to make sure that you guys get a chance to talk too. Yeah, so we now also this year, before I get into those dates, what I want to tell you is Mercury is going into Aquarius tomorrow. Tomorrow's the 8th. Mercury is going into Aquarius tomorrow, and now we're going to have 3 planets in Aquarius. When Mercury goes into Aquarius tomorrow for the next several days and maybe a week or so, that's when you want to watch your words. If you have any important conversations coming up that you need to have, you may want to put them off. Because with Mercury changing signs and being so close to Saturn and Jupiter, sometimes it can transmute energy in a way that we're speaking and we say things we really don't want to say, or we say what we want to say in a really wrong way. So any conversations you have to have that are super important, don't have them yet. Okay? I'm going to look at our comments, see what's going on here. Okay, Mercury goes into retrograde, I'll tell you in a minute, because towards the end of the month, I have all my dates written down, because I could never remember all this right now. Mercury goes retrograde January 20th to February 20th. January 30th, I'm sorry, to February 20th. And that's a big retrograde for Mercury, because it's going to be hitting some other aspects. So you want to definitely back up your data and all that jazz for this Mercury retrograde that comes in at the end of the month. But before that, we've got a lot of things happening. Happy 2021, Sarah. Hopefully 2021 will be a little bit less dramatic than 2020 was. Hey, Aaron. Hey, John. Hey, Monica. Everybody's on. Okay. I was afraid that you guys weren't going to remember me because, hey, Sal. Because I was gone for 2 weeks. So I'm going to run down really quick some dates with you guys. And then if you want, we'll pull a few cards. Okay, so right now we've got some things going on with Mercury going into Aquarius. And Venus goes into Capricorn. So Venus has been in Sagittarius. She likes to party in Sagittarius. That was nice that we had that over the holidays. In Capricorn, Venus, with Planet of Love, relationships, is going to be a little bit more staid, a little bit more cautious, a little bit maybe not as fun. So if you're starting a new relationship now or you're looking for a new love while Venus is in Capricorn, it's probably going to be a more traditional relationship. It's probably going to be someone who's more of a business person or authority, or someone who really likes structure, or the relationship will take on a structure that's kind of very methodical or traditional. Just to know that. Also, at the end of the month when Mercury goes retrograde, that's not the time when you want to start a lot of new things. So between January 30th and February 20th, don't really start new stuff. You can plan, but don't really put it in action. But this Mercury transit into Aquarius and Venus into Capricorn really stresses words and sometimes can be a little bit opposition with words. So we have a new planetary order. Last year, it was Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, all stuck in Capricorn. So first, when we had transits and planets hit things, we would have them going in hitting Jupiter first, and we'd feel expansive and optimistic, and oh wow, the energy's changing, something really great's going to happen. And then it would hit Saturn, and we'd have a reality check, and something would say, wait, no, you can't do that. And then Pluto would come in and transform us until we understood, okay, maybe I could do it this way. Now that kind of reverses because Saturn and Jupiter have moved away from Pluto. So when planets come around and hit the planets, the order of them is not going to be Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto. Now it's Pluto, Saturn, Jupiter. So how does that affect us? Well, it affects us now. The energy for the year is going to be hitting Pluto first, which is transmutation, right? Things start a process. They get transmuted. That's the energy that comes in first, is we see something different. It starts to change. And then things hit Saturn and we get that little reality check, but it's good because we're in the process of changing something. So it helps us along to see what's real. And then things hit Jupiter and it's how do we move it forward, because Jupiter is an expansive energy. So that's a great planetary lineup that we have this year, and used correctly, we can really use this energy to propel us forward, because we're not going to have so much of that stop go that we had last year. Something would feel good and we'd feel like the energy was easing off, and then something else would happen and we'd have this crisis. This year it's going to be a little reverse. We may have a crisis that's going to be changing something, transforming something. Then we get the little bit of reality check from Saturn. Oh, okay, but now I see the realness of it. This is what I have to do. And then Jupiter comes in to move it forward. So the energy is going to be much easier. So January 11th and 12th, Venus is going to trine Mars. You want to mark that date because this is when the conversation starts to flow better. The 8th, 9th, 10th, so over the weekend, do not have those heavy conversations. Don't talk to anybody. You need to ask for a raise or start a partnership or have a special conversation with a family member or a friend. Wait till like Tuesday, Wednesday to do it. After the 11th and the 12th, Venus trines Mars and you get a little bit more movement and more assertiveness. And then Venus also trines Uranus on the 13th. This is a little bit of a change of the energy also, because that's going to make something you love, something you value, come into view. It's like lightning. It's like something comes in that really transmute and moves the energy because you see it a different way, and it's something heart-based. And that brings us to almost the same day, the new moon in Capricorn. This new moon in Capricorn on January 12th is a very powerful new moon. I know I say that about a lot of moons because moon energy is very powerful, but this is really powerful because it's incredibly important because of some things that happen afterwards, and also because it's 1 year to the day of when we had the huge conjunction of Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn going into Capricorn last January 12th, 2020, that caused a lot of all this turbulence that we had that became 2020. Now we have a new moon in Capricorn at exactly that place. And what does that mean? It means that it's changing the energy. It's kind of closing it. It's kind of giving us one last shake up to finally move on. So this is huge transmutation. This is like everything that we learned and that happened in 2020 in that new moon in Capricorn is almost like seeing the movie of it, being shown what it was all really about. Something happens to really transmute the energy. This is, I just want to read my notes. Right, so especially in Capricorn, because it's going to be touching, remember Pluto's still there, and Pluto is our underworld. Pluto is our shadow. Pluto is our really depth within ourselves. So this new moon, the transmutation energy, is best used to transform something deeply about yourself. It's not just to change something in the world three-dimensionally, you know, like, oh, I want to move, or oh, I want a new job. This new moon is energy coming in for deep healing, deep transmutation in the soul, in the inner home, in the things that you really have been brought to the surface, that stuff that, like I said, was behind the dam. This is really changing the color of that water. So this new moon is really a special moon to do the work. It conjuncts Pluto on the 14th, which is 2 days after. That's the aspect that happens directly after. Really incredibly powerful. This is probably one of the most powerful moons we've had for doing that shadow, that soul work in a very long time. Now I want to say something about this time period of June 12th through 14th and even a few days after that. when we have this new moon in Capricorn, it's going to feel really intense for a lot of people because it's really coming against that Plutonian energy that is the depth of us. And so for some people that'll bring fear. Pluto sometimes brings us fear into our lives because fear is our path to what we really need to look at. You know, fear is good in a lot of ways because if we didn't have fear, we wouldn't really know what we had to look deeply at, right? So this particular moon is very good for doing that depth shadow work, looking at those things that have been ruling your life that you need to take care of. But for a lot of people that aren't able to do that or are fearful of that, it may make them act out. So these can be very volatile days, and what I would say is it's really about pushing out what no longer serves. And I know that's so cliche, but this isn't about pushing out what no longer serves, like a person or a thing. This is about pushing out the behavior, the pattern, the karma within you to change something deeply in your life. So sorry to get so serious, but that's really what it's about. And this is about learning to forgive. It's about learning to admit where you've been wrong. It's about learning to admit the things that you really don't want to look at. Really, really deep, deep moon. And then right after that new moon, it moves to Aquarius. And now it's going into the Jupiter and Saturn energy. So really this month is so changeable, it's just unbelievable. So then right around the inauguration, we have Uranus starting to move forward a few days before, and then we have the sun going into Aquarius around the 19th, and then on the 20th, on inauguration day, really a lot of energy comes in. You can't make this stuff up, but we've got Mars conjuncting Uranus. When Mars conjuncts Uranus, and the moon also is in Taurus where Uranus is, this is an energy of either you let go or you're going to get torn apart. Sorry to say it. But it's an energy where we can be very stubborn. We don't want to let go of the past, but we have to. We just had that new moon that was dredging it up and showing us where our karma is to go deeply into changing our lives. And now we have this Mars conjunct Uranus energy that's going to force it. It's going to force it. So we've got to do that work. We've got to do the work within ourselves. And this is a deep shift. This is almost like an earthquake kind of deep shift. So I would, be very cautious, lay low around that time frame. I don't know what will happen, of course, but I can tell you with the cosmos, as above, so below. So something has the potential to be very quick, lightning, earthquake kind of changes. And then the month kind of goes into that, we have a full moon on the 28th, and this full moon squares Uranus, and this is the energy towards the end of the month. All these things that have happened this month, now the energy is set. 2021 comes in. It's our choice what 2021 is going to be. Did we do that shadow work on the new moon of Capricorn and go deeply in and change and purge what needed to be to bring us to a brand new day, a brand new year, a brand new way of creating our life? Or are we stagnating in what we have behind that dam and not wanting to change the status quo and being really stubborn? Well, let me tell you, if you're really stubborn, hanging on to the status quo behind the dam's going to break. That's the energy of 2021. It's not a let's all go sit home and think about what we have to do. 2021 is get your butts in gear and start doing what you have to do. That's the energy. I'm just the messenger. So we've got this beautiful full moon on January 28th, 29th. And when that full moon comes in, a few days prior, we've had the sun also squaring Uranus. And we get the awakening. We get the lightning. So we have that new moon dredging it up, showing us where we need to be more forgiving, admit what's wrong about ourselves, move ourselves onto the next phase. Then we have this energy of the sun squaring Uranus, which is an awakening for us. We finally get it. We see what we have to do. And then this full moon comes in to complete the cycle of what the new moon started. And so it's a really strong month energetically. It's a really changeable month. It's going to be a little bit of a roller coaster, but it's good because we need it. We've had all this stagnation and being stuck in the soup, kind of, This is an energy also after that full moon, which is in Leo at 9 degrees. This is also hitting, it's opposing Jupiter. So this gives us hope, but not the full hope that we need to really go forward in our lives yet. It starts the ball rolling. January is really opening 2021. It's dynamic. It's all the issues that were brought up in 2020 being resolved in some way, but not gently. All right? So I think the other thing to keep in mind as you're doing this deep work, as you're seeing all these things go out in the collective, do not, I shouldn't say do not, I will say it's a good idea. I strongly advise not to try to ground yourself in external. Not to try when you're going within and you're doing your deep work, don't worry about the external. Define yourself by the authenticity within. Because there's so much energy going on around us that we have a tendency to look to it for answers and look to all of this. Oh, what's true? What isn't true? What's true? What isn't true? No, you know in here. You know, and that's the only truth that you have to worry about is what you know within yourself that is authentic to you. Not my truth, not another guru's truth, not a politician's truth, not a influencer's truth, not, your truth. What is that, and how does it set the agenda you want to create for your beautiful life? So that's 2021. We're coming on a time where really important decisions will be made within ourselves on the choices on the way we want to live our life. These are very changing times. Anything, like I said, and I can't stress this enough, be that observer of what's going around outside, be the observer of all these things, but don't allow it to tie you into what it is. Go into your authenticity and the powerful strength that you have in the peaceful moments of your life. This is anything not heart connected is going to go. It's all heart-based, true authenticity. So definitely connect to divine source, not what's going on around you. So I'm going to pull some cards. If I have anybody left, I know I was a little long-winded tonight, but we got some time. All right. Oh, thank you, David. Oh, thank you. Everybody missed me. Wow, I didn't think it would happen. Aaron, if your Uranus, Neptune, and Saturn are all in Capricorn, 4th and 5th house, I wouldn't say, uh-oh. I would say, because I know you do your work, and so, you do your Saturn. So what I would say is probably your dreams are probably very powerful right now. You want to look at those messages. But also your 4th and 5th house. 4th house is your home, your physical home. And I know you just had a move, so that was why. Probably Saturn changing some things for you. And 5th is creativity. 5th is also fun. It's a fun house. It's the house of creativity, children, childhood, being childlike and lighthearted. So I would use that energy to... there's probably something that you have to change. Saturn in the 4th and 5th is probably bringing a conflict into your life of how much fun you want to have versus how much structure you want to have. So go within, look at your own authenticity to tell you the truth of what is your balance. All right? Because Saturn, when it's healthy, wants to teach us. A healthy Saturn is someone who is balanced, but you're not too rigid and you're not too blowing it off. Because Neptune will let you blow things off. Neptune is like, have that drink. You don't have to go home yet. And Saturn's like, well, you have work to do. And Neptune's like, no, you can have another margarita. And Saturn's like, no, you better get home and do your work. You're going to be up till 2 o'clock in the morning. And Neptune's like, no, stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning. We're going to have a great time. So that's your thing. All right. I'm going to pick a card for Mr. Mineta because he's my #1 fan. And I love him, and platonically, and I'll get letters. And I'm going to pick a card for you because I know that you've been waiting so good, my John Mineta. We're going to have John on the show again, I think. I know you guys liked that. I know you ladies liked it. So we're going to have John on. So I'm going to pick a card for you, Mr. John. And I'm doing tarot tonight, so that's good, right? Okay. Oh, John, I know you go to the beach a lot, and I just got like the ocean and water all around you. And your card is the Chariot. The Chariot card in tarot means you're moving forward. You're making decisions and you're moving forward. It's not always black and white. The Chariot's going to go in the middle and find middle ground. But whenever I get the Chariot card, this is a card of really moving forward and going on and making decisions in your life. It's also the number 7. So if that's significant for you, take that with you. But when we see the Chariot in the tarot, it means that you're not idling at the curb anymore. You're going into drive. All right? So take that with you. And yeah, well, that's what your chart is. It's the story of your life, Aaron. All right, Sarah, I'm going to pull a card for you. And Monica. You guys just want to be having cards all the time. You're a bunch of card whores. I mean that affectionately. Okay, so I got Susan. Hey, babe. All right. Just going back because I want... Oh, I'm sorry, David. I hope you're feeling better soon. Okay, so I'm going to pick a card for Sarah and then Monica. You guys have to remind me if I forget names because I got a scrolling thing in front of me. So I think the energy's good tonight, though. All right, this one's for Sarah. Hope you had a nice holiday, Sarah. Okay, we've got the Death card. Okay, now the reason why I made a face is because whenever anybody gets this card, like, oh my God, somebody's going to die. That is not what the Death card means. If you look at this card very carefully, you'll see that the Knight is on the horse, and the horse is moving forward. Look at the legs. It's galloping. What the Death card is it just means that the spirit in life, you know, whatever you believe in, angels, God, whatever, the higher power you believe in is telling you to move forward and have a rebirth. This is also a great card for that new moon that's coming in around the 12th and the full moon that comes in later in the month on the 29th, because it's all about death and rebirth. This is like a Pluto card. This is not a physical death. This is rebirthing, letting go of something. I'm going to pick a second card to validate that. What do you need to let go of? Yeah, this is relationship. This is partnership. Something actually, you know, coming into a new rebirth, a partnership that has been maybe strained and now is either going to have a rebirth or it will, I think it's a rebirth because this is Archangel Gabriel up here. So looking down on you. So there's definitely transition going on with a relationship. And it's like the death and rebirth of a relationship. So that's for you, Sarah. Susan, I'm going to pull a card for you right after I do Monica. Monica, this is for you. Okay. Monica, choices. There's a choice that you're not seeing. When you are thinking about a decision that you have to make right now, number 6 card, right? 6 of Cups. I'm sorry, 4 of Cups. I was looking at it backwards. When you are trying to make a decision about something, either now or in the near future, make sure that you give yourself time to see every option, because there is an option that's being handed to you and you're not seeing. If you look at this person here sitting against the tree, he's already seen 3 cups and they're discarded. He's looking at them. He's trying to make a decision with his 3 cups and they're on the ground. But divinity, spirit, divine power is handing him another cup, but he's not seeing it because he's too involved with the 3 that are on the ground. So take from that what you will, but in my message to you, what I'm going to say is make sure you look at all the options. Make sure you see things. Look up. Don't just look down and be in the 3-dimensional world. Look at everything and allow yourself the time to do that. Okay? Who have I got next? I was just saying. Susan. Susan Mason. Going to pick a card for you. How do you guys like my sparkly tree? I actually ordered a couple of sparkly trees because I just love them. They're not Christmassy. I mean, they could be. But I actually ordered them because I just love sparkle in my house. And I love to have little light. And they light up corners that might be kind of dark and shadowy. And especially this time of year. Sarah, you got the Emperor. And I feel like this is your dad coming through. Because it's coming through to say hi. But also, if there's something that you've been thinking about doing lately, he's supporting you. I almost feel physically like he's behind you, like with hands on your back saying, go forward, go forward. So if there's something you've been trying to make a decision about or something that's been in the back of your mind to do, bring it forward. You have the support of the universe, and Dad says do it, it's good. All right? Joanne. Going to pick a card for Joanne. So I brought my sparkly tree in here to have as a background tonight. I was like, I can't be in the studio. I'll bring in some sparkle. Okay, Joanne, this is for you. Joanne, this card represents gatherings. It is the Three of Pentacles. It also represents money and abundance. If you look at this card, it's like someone is kind of preaching or telling these two people something. They have a message. And that's really what this card is about. It's oftentimes a message of unity or three. And I know you do have two daughters, so maybe it's something with the three of you coming together, unity, love. If you look at the Three Pentacles up here, they're in unity. They're almost like, you know, a trefoil or a trinity is the word I'm looking for. So this is really about gathering three. You know, the old biblical saying where three or more are gathered. So it's really love and a unity card. So even if there's a little bit of conflict going on, you know, especially now in very tense times, it comes together. There's great love there. So give your daughters a hug. Okay, Christina Gregoret Almeida. Christina, I'm going to give you a card. Pick one for you. All right. I'm running out of time, guys, so. Okay. Christina, we have the Ten of Swords. And this is also a death and rebirth card. When you look at this, it looks like someone has, you know, been persecuted. And when I see this card, it always reminds me that it's a very Pluto card for me too. But it always reminds me that a lot of our persecution is done on our own. We do it to ourselves. So if there's anything that's really been bothering you or bringing you down or making you feel fearful, like we have all this black in the card, know that you have a choice to change your perception anytime. We are only wounded when we allow it. We're only brought down and depressed or hurt when we allow it. There's always joy available to us, so reach for that, because I really believe this is a card of rebirth. And during the new moon, make sure on the 12th you do either a ritual or light a candle or write a letter and throw it in the fire. But I think you need to purge something and make a choice to really take over and be happy. So Sal, I'm going to pull a card for you, my buddy at Govs. I miss all my friends at Govs. I want to be on everybody's show just to see everybody. Okay, so Sal, you have the Queen of Swords. This is usually indicative of a Libra woman, which is October or late September birth in your life. This could even be a mom energy. I don't know if you have a mom that's passed, but I feel like that energy is coming in. A mom-like energy. It could be a mother or a grandmother or even a sister who's like a mother. But just take that with you, because there is someone who probably was a Libra or had a significant date in October, if not a birth date and anniversary, coming in to say hello to you from the other side. Just feel that really strongly. It's either your mom or grandmother or if you're married, wife's mother or grandmother, but it's a maternal figure on the other side coming in. Just feel that strongly, just saying I love you. All right. Aaron, I think, did I pull a card for you or not? I didn't yet, Aaron. Aaron, this is your card. I might get booted off because the Govs broadcaster only goes till certain times. So Aaron, your card is you're looking out at the world. And that kind of matches